Chelsea are about to have one of their most important summers in their recent history. New manager, big sales, new signings, and I think I've figured out exactly how it's all going to plan out. From the Enzo Fernandez situation to the new manager appointment, I'm going to predict everything that will happen in the summer transfer window for Chelsea this summer. I've analysed Chelsea's squad and I think I know exactly what they're going to do this summer. Who they'll sell, who they'll sign, and who obviously becomes their new manager. This is my full prediction for Chelsea's summer window. So there's a lot of speculation going around who their new manager will be. So let's start with the manager situation. As we know, Liam Rossini replaced Enzo Maresca and failed at Chelsea, let's put it that way. I feel like the players just treated him as a joke. In all honesty, I don't think they really took him seriously at all. So I think Chelsea need to steer away from this sort of Blueco situation they've got going on. Stay clear of Gary O'Neill, okay? Don't promote him from Strasbourg. So with Chelsea making the change this summer, the name I keep going back to is Oliver Glasner. And at first it might not sound like the obvious blockbuster appointment, but when you actually break it down, I feel like he could be exactly what Chelsea need right now. Glasner's biggest strength is his structure, the structure of his teams. His teams are incredibly well organised out of possession, in possession, compact, aggressive, and they're very hard to break down. You've seen it with the Crystal Palace sides over the last few years. And I feel like that's something Chelsea have seriously lacked. Too often they've looked open, disjointed, more like a talented group of individuals rather than a system, like a squad. But it's not just defensive with Glasner. I feel like in possession, Glasner's teams are quite direct, especially with the wide players, obviously the wide bombing fullbacks in his back three system. I feel like Glasner tactically as well is also very flexible, but obviously he often uses that back three system. And I think that's huge for Chelsea. Again, we've gone back to it in terms of other clubs in the Premier League, especially a big club like Chelsea. Obviously, it's not worked at Man United using that back five system with Ruben Amorim, but a very, very similar system to Oliver Glasner. But I feel like a team at Chelsea, we've seen it work before with Conte when he came in 2016 and obviously it instantly worked out for them. So I think Chelsea would suit Oliver Glasner's system. I don't think the Chelsea fans will have too much to moan about as well because they've used to it. They've seen it before with Conte, whereas obviously us as United fans weren't used to seeing that back five system. It really didn't work. And I feel like this is the thing. I feel like Chelsea just needs someone who can sort of implement a clear system straight away. Develop young players, of course, because Chelsea have got many of them. And just bring structure to this chaotic squad. And I feel like that's exactly what Glasner's done everywhere he's been. Right, that's who I think is going to be the new manager. Let's get on to their sales this summer. Now, I think there's going to be quite a few outgoings. They need to flush away some of this dead weight they've got going on. As you know, the World Cup is just around the corner. I've been sent a couple of shirts today from the guys over at Best ZV. And I can't even lie, I was actually so surprised of how good the quality is on these shirts. If you're trying to rep your country this World Cup without spending crazy money, then Best ZV is the place for you. Now, this is the first shirt I have been sent today. This is South Africa's away shirt for the upcoming World Cup in the USA, Canada and Mexico. I love green shirts, you know me. This is a beauty. And I've also been sent this one, a Belgium away shirt for the upcoming World Cup. It's giving me bubblegum vibes. I don't know what you guys think. I really like it. I really do. So if you want to get the brand new World Cup shirts or any shirts in general, they've got retros on there and current season shirts and shirts for the upcoming season as well. Make sure to check out Best ZV. The link will be down in the description and in the top comment. Thank you, Best ZV. Let's get back to the video. Starting with Philip Jorgensen. I think he needs to go. I'm just going to predict him to go to Besiktas on loan. I think he was linked there in January, so it makes sense. Gaga Slanina. Yeah, I don't know. I think he'll go to the MLS. Let's just say Colorado Rapids. Mike Penders, obviously a very young goalkeeper. I think he's probably got a future at Chelsea, but I think he needs another loan move. I'd be looking at sending him somewhere in England as well to get that English experience, maybe to a high-end championship team or maybe a team like a Wolves who are getting relegated this season. I think he'll end up at somewhere around that level. In fact, that's what I'm going to say. Mike Penders to go on loan to Wolves. I think Tyreek George will end up going to Coventry and linking up with Frank Lampard. I think Lampard's definitely going to be in the market for a few Chelsea players and he's not really set the world alight at Everton on loan this season. I think he'll be a decent little signing for Coventry coming up to the Premier League. Aaron Anselmino, impressed at Dortmund on loan for the first half of the season, was then recalled by Chelsea and then sent out on loan to obviously their Blueco feeder club, Strasbourg. I think he needs another loan move. I can see him going to Ajax. I don't know why. I think Benoit Badiashile's time at Chelsea's up. I think he'll end up going to Marseille. Axel Disasi's really, really impressed at West Ham, and I think West Ham will look and do everything they can to make that permanent in the summer. Another centre-back, they've got Mamadou Sarr, obviously from Strasbourg again. I think he'll go on loan to the Bundesliga, let's just say Stuttgart. I think we'll also see the departure of Tosin Adarabioyo. I think he'll go to Ipswich, especially if they come up to the Premier League. Now, the big one is Enzo Fernandez. I do think his time is up at Chelsea. I think he's just destined for a move away. I don't think he's enjoying it. I think he's got that ambition of playing Champions League football as well, and I don't think Chelsea are going to get that this season. There's obviously been links to Real Madrid, but I'm going to go ahead and say he's going to join Atletico Madrid. I think he's admired Real Madrid. In fact, he actually just said he wants to live in Madrid. So Atletico Madrid is in Madrid, funnily enough, believe it or not. So I think he'll go to Atletico. I really do. I've got a sneaky feeling Atletico will spend big on Enzo Fernandez this summer. I think Mark Guiu, let's just go with that. I think he's going to go back to Spain. Valencia suits him on loan. And then obviously Nicholas Jackson, who isn't going to be joining Bayern Munich permanently, I think just suits the Serie A. Juventus maybe. So they're all the signings out the way. Now we're going to go into their incomings for the upcoming window. Now, Chelsea made 2 signings last season for this season, coming up for the 26-27 season. First of all, Giovanni Quenda, a very, very talented Portuguese player playing at Sporting. Absolutely suited that Ruben Amorim system to a T. And I think if Oliver Glasner comes in, I think you've got your man in Quenda there, can play on the wing, can play that right wing back if Reece James plays more centrally or maybe as a centre-back. So he's one that is already coming into Chelsea as of this season. And so is Emmanuel Omega, another player from Strasbourg, a goal-scoring striker. He's just going to provide competition, isn't he, for Liam Delap and João Pedro. I think it's a decent one. I think they don't need any more strikers with those 3 at the club. Now, I'm going to try and go as realistic as possible with the signings I'm making for Chelsea. These are not what I would do because I'm not a Chelsea fan. I'm not the Chelsea manager. I'm not the Chelsea owner, thank God. I'm a Man United fan from the outside looking in, and I feel like the signings I've made here are realistic signings for the summer. Now, we all know that Chelsea need a goalkeeper, and seeing as though I've sold 2 on the outgoings part of this video, they definitely need to bring one in. And I think if Chelsea are serious about building a system under Oliver Glasner, this goalkeeper signing makes total sense. I think the goalkeeper becomes just as important as an outfield signing in this Chelsea team at the minute. And that's why Bart Verbruggen to Chelsea makes complete sense. Don't get me wrong, I think Robert Sanchez has had an okay season. I think he started off the season really well. But then I think the midway point, I don't know what went wrong. I think Jorgensen came in for a few games. He sort of started to bring back those mistakes Sanchez always makes. I feel like Chelsea have just never been confident in their goalkeeper for a very long time now. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Bart Verbruggen is going to come in and become this absolute confident maniac at the back like we've seen with like Senny Lamens, for example, at Man United this season. But he's got that Premier League experience. What has he had, 3 or 4 seasons at Brighton now? I think he's the Netherlands #1. He's played in those competitions. He's probably going to be in the Netherlands squad for the World Cup as well, so he's going to have that experience under his belt. So for an incredibly young goalkeeper, he has sort of gained that experience already. Next up, I've got a player who is, again, linked to Blueco. He's playing at Strasbourg at the minute, and a man who also did, funnily enough, play for Brighton. I've gone for Valentin Barco. Now, I think, again, Chelsea have been linked to him, bringing him from Strasbourg to the club, and he can play so many different positions. I think he's going to be that utility man for Chelsea. I think Brighton signed him as a left-back from Argentina when they signed him, I think, from Boca Juniors at the time. But I think he's played in midfield and more often than not on the wing as well for Strasbourg. He's played in multiple different positions. I've actually seen him play on the right wing for Strasbourg this season. But he is a very attacking left-back. He can play in midfield. He can play on the wing like we've said. And he fits the model. He just does, doesn't he? He fits the Chelsea model. Now, I think their most important signing this summer needs to be a centre-back. I've not been impressed with the pairings they've had this season so far. And especially, it seems I've got rid of Badiashile, Disasi, Anselmino and Sarr on loan and Tosin as well. They definitely need one proper centre-back to come in, especially if they're going to play this back 5 system under Glasner. And I've predicted that Glasner's going to bring a man from Crystal Palace with him to the club. I've gone for Maxence Lacroix. I think it makes perfect sense. A man who's already played under Glasner, he knows the system. I think if Glasner's going to come to a club like Chelsea, he's got to bring someone he knows fits the system perfectly, and that is Lacroix. Most recently getting called up to the France team as well. He's been in unreal form for Crystal Palace this season. I think he was brilliant for them last season when they won the FA Cup as well. In fact, I think he's just been a brilliant signing for Crystal Palace in general, and obviously playing in that back five system, I think it's an absolute must Chelsea go out and buy him. Still only 26 years old as well. I think he's a very, very, very talented player, Lacroix, and I think Chelsea suits him. I think he's going to be looking to make that next big step in his career, going into the prime years of his career, having recently been called up to the France squad, getting in that Chelsea team. He'll probably start most games. And I'm going to shock you here. I think they only need one more signing. Well, they don't need one more. I'm predicting they're only going to make one more signing. I think it's going to be a midfielder to sort of replace Enzo Fernandez. He's not the right profile, to be fair, to be an Enzo Fernandez replacement. Enzo Fernandez is more of a box-to-box number 8, and this man is a 6. He's going to sit alongside Moises Caicedo. You could argue they've still got players like that at the club with Lavia and Dario Asugo coming through, but with the injuries they've suffered already, I think they definitely need a number 6. Plus, Andre Santos could sort of facilitate that role Enzo Fernandez plays. And under Glasner, he might not play with that sort of number 8, because we've seen him at Crystal Palace with that Wharton and Lerma, or Wharton and Hughes, or Kamada and Lerma, Kamada and Hughes. He's got two players that are sort of similar in that aspect in midfield. So I think if Chelsea are going to fully commit to Oliver Glasner, I think Angelo Stiller from Stuttgart, again, makes perfect sense. I've said that a lot, but I think it does. I think he just brings incredible amounts of structure to a team. I think he's got a wonderful left foot as well. I've seen clips of him on Twitter. There's like a compilation. I remember United being linked to him. And he is constantly, always scanning to seeing who's around him, seeing where the ball, he's just always on, his head's on a swivel. His head's like this, 360 on a swivel. But I think his passing is incredible. Absolutely incredible. I think his line-breaking passes are a joke. I mean, in an ideal world, they'd go and get Adam Wharton as well, but I've been realistic in terms of 2 Crystal Palace signings are probably not going to happen. I think Stiller is... I think he's very similar to Wharton. I think he's going to be a lot cheaper. I think you can probably get Stiller for around 30-40 million, and he can offer more. Well, yeah, I think he can offer more than Wharton. I've said it. I think people don't look at him because he's German. He's playing at Stuttgart. He's been there for a while now. He's not the flashiest of players, but he's quality, man. He's so good. I think him next to Caicedo with obviously then a front 3 of so many different options. I mean, you can facilitate Palmer in there as well. I think Chelsea could look really good with those set of players and those set of signings. I quite like doing that video. I've stopped now, I've deeped it, and I really enjoyed it. Do you want to see me do that for many more teams? I'm thinking of doing it for definitely all the big 6, but I kind of want to do it for all the Premier League and maybe even some of the Championship teams, maybe some of the bigger clubs around the world. I've really enjoyed this video. Did I tell you that? So thank you for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new video. See you later.